Hey everybody, and welcome to a returning episode of the Nabs Effect podcast. I'm your host, Naveen Ganglani. Apologies that we did not have any episode last week. It turned out to be quite a busy week. If you guys follow my Instagram, you probably know by now that I've taken a new role at All Star Magazine as the managing editor. And I thought at first it would be super seamless. I'd keep doing the podcast, take on the new role, keep everything going. Ho hum, of course, there was a transition period. And unfortunately, I had to put the podcast aside, not for so long, just about a week, to get used to the new situation with All Star. But we're back now, and I figured a good time as well, given that we just saw the conclusion of the World University Basketball Series, with Korea University spanking both Philippine representatives, UP first in their opening game, and La Salle in the championship round, gaining vengeance actually, since La Salle beat Korea University last year in the WUBS championship game of 2024. So it was one of those performances from KU, can we call them that, I guess? KU, Korea University, that was just admirable. The way they played was so good on both ends of the floor. Analytically driven too, when you take a look at how often they were looking for open three-point shots. They buried both UP and La Salle with an avalanche of downtown shots. We can take a look at stats a little bit, or in a little bit rather, to go into what went wrong there for the two Philippine representatives. It was a surprising loss, I think, when you take a look at the final score. And LaSalle, on the other hand, won their first game against NCCU, and then they beat a Japanese opponent on the second day. But they were no match for Korea University. At one point, Korea University was ahead 28-7. And I believe they may have led by as much as 30 points or so. UP did make a comeback against Korea University, a fourth quarter charge that was vintage UP Fighting Maroons. They tied the game after two Chico Briones corner three-pointers. But the Korean team just pulled up the stops and the game winning plays on offense as well down the stretch. And lo and behold, they are the champions and they deserve to be champions. Like we mentioned earlier, they play a beautiful brand of basketball. First of all, they have size, they have length, and they have speed and athleticism. It was so surprising to see the UP and La Salle players look kind of not short, but not that tall, against the Korea University guys. Because when we see these guys in the UAP, the NCAA, or rather Philoil, where they get to compete against the NCAA, you're like, oh, these guys are big, they're long wings. And then you see the opponents from Korea University, and you're like, ooh, it's going to be hard to make plays against these guys in the defensive pressure. And that turned out to be true. I mean, Korea University made La Salle have to beat them with one-on-one plays, with ISO plays. They were switching really well. Defensive scheme really went well. I know that Mike Phillips scored a lot on, he had 30, 15, and 6, I think. I'll double check in a bit. But that was like all in hustle, creating for himself. But that usual blend of that free-flowing La Salle offense wasn't there. And I think that was by design. Korea University just made them play tough, have to figure stuff out late in the shot clock, make something out of nothing. Meanwhile, they were like driving and kicking, driving and swinging. And they weren't like one of those teams that relied just on three-point shots because that's where they're good at. Sometimes when you go up against Asian opponents, that tend to be the case where they go for the outside shots because that's their best chance to win. No, these guys were able to score in the paint. They were able to drive. They posterized some DLSU guys as well, but they were always looking for the better shot. They were giving up the good shot for the great shot attempt, and a lot of times those were open looks from downtown, and they got snipers. They had guys letting it fly, and for good reason because of the way they were knocking down shots. So when we take a look at some of the stats, so first, the finals. Korea University beats DLSU 95 to 85. LaSalle just 4 out of 15 from downtown, and two of those threes came from Kian Baklaan. Korea University, on the other hand, 13 out of 31 from three. So that's a 9 3-point shot advantage already for KU, which means a 27-point difference. Now, maybe LaSalle balanced it out with the 2-point production. Well, 31 out of 53 from 2-point range for the LSU. Korea University 23 out of 37. So La Salle made 8 more 2-point shots, which leads to 16 extra points. But Korea University, like we said, had a 27-point advantage in the 3-point disparity. And threes are more than twos. And guess what? Final score 10-point win for Korea University. Free throws were fairly even. One more made for DLSU, one less for Korea University. But overall, just they were outplayed too. LaSalle, you look at the 20 turnovers. Four coming from Phillips. He had the ball a lot. Four from Baclan, four from Cortez. So your three main guys combined for 12 out of the 20 turnovers. Korea University, on the other hand, just 10 turnovers, 17 assists on 36 made shot attempts. Very decent. Kitchan Yoon, sorry if I mispronounced it, 26 points. Impressive performance. Moo Yu Hyun, 21 points. It was a team effort for Korea, and that was the case also in their win against UP. Now we take a look at the stats of that game. It turned out to be closer than I thought it would be because Korea University got off to a 19-1 lead, and that was a key also in these games against the Philippine teams. LaSalle was trailing 8 to 27 early. UP was down 1 to 19 early, and by the time these two teams got their rhythm and flow, Korea University was just in a way better rhythm and flow already and had more confidence. In that game against UP, 7 of 21 from downtown for UP, 11 out of 31 for Korea University, 19 of 48 from two-point range for UP, 12 out of 23 for Korea University. Korea University, however, 18 out of 29 from the free throw line, just 12 out of 18 for UP. So 2-point shooting, again, the Philippine team outpaced the Korea team, but 3-point shooting was a killer. I mean, Korea University in this win against UP had more 3-point attempts, 11 out of 31, and more free throw attempts, 18 out of 29. Then they had 2-point attempts, 12 out of 23. Analytically, that's great. You're taking a lot of threes, you're getting to the free throw line. You're not relying a lot on mid-range shots because a lot of their paint, I mean, their 2-point shots were in the paint too. They just knew how to attack UP's defense, and they attack, and it led to good results. I want to take a look at the other game that UP played against University of Sydney. In this game, ironically, both teams shot a combined 12 3-point field goals, six for each team. But University of Sydney won by 19 because they went 33 out of 58 from 2-point range, and the Fighting Maroons, 24 of 46. So again, the paint protection was a bit of an issue there for UP, which is something we've talked about on this podcast the last few weeks in the preseason leagues and the off-season tournaments. Rebounding, fairly even, 50-49 UP advantage, turnover same, but it was the effectiveness inside the paint that really had University of Sydney easily pull out this win. So it's not that we can just say the Philippine teams this year was not that good. This is the first time two teams have represented the Philippines. That's the case because UP won the UAP championship and La Salle was the defending champion from last year. So safe to say for next year's edition, that's not going to be the case. We're only going to have one representative. Ateneo has won this tournament before as well, but Ateneo has also lost in this tournament. And there's no shame in that. You're going up against opponents from University of Sydney, from Korea. These are talented guys who are developed. The Asian development in other countries, I think, has overlapped the Philippines, if we're being honest, in terms of fundamentals, skills, shooting, technique. I think it's fair to say. And that's not to say we don't have a lot of talented players, because obviously the KBL and Japan B League teams are still recruiting Filipino guys. But I think overall, from a macro perspective, you can see that the level of competition, at least from the international standard, is different. I had some person comment on my Facebook earlier that the fouls were not fair. And immediately my thought was, the fouls, the way the refs in the WUBS called the games was actually good. International level and standard good. We've just gotten used to bad officiating here in the country where the refs tend to be inconsistent one half to the next. I mean, all referees do it all over the world, but I think our country does more. And that also develops some of the bad habits of the youth players growing up in the high school rank and the college rank. there's so many layers to unpack here on why other nations have overlapped us. But when you really dig deep into it, you can see, okay, here, minor thing there, minor thing here, minor thing there, minor thing there, but they all add up and it becomes major. Now, one more aspect I should mention. I was talking to King Lee, a friend of mine from Korea, basketball aficionado there. He has been on this podcast actually. And he told me, you know what's crazy is that a lot of these guys from Korea University or the players as after they're teenagers but before they're adults, their basketball development sometimes is put on pause because they have to do military duty. I think it's about 21 months in Korea. Now, to be fair, the military, if I'm not mistaken, has their own team in the Korea D League, but basketball's obviously not the top priority while you're doing your military service. You can't be training multiple times a day when you have a service you have to do to your country. And that's at the key stage of their careers that suddenly kind of has to slow down a bit. And yet they come back on the court and you see they're just fundamentally sound. The shoot the shooting has always been an issue. In particular, you can see it in the FIBA Asia games too. I mean, New Zealand was shooting three-pointers like they were free throws. Chinese Taipei as well. The form, the technique, it's all consistent, at least more consistent than our guys locally growing up because our brand of basketball is also different. It's physical, attacking the rim, getting to the free throw line, push, tempo, push, push. And that's entertaining for Philippine basketball, and we love it. We do. We honestly love it. But is it the best for international standard of play and competition? Right now, it doesn't seem like that's the case, and time will tell if we'll get to catch up. So, some key takeaways. Not a lot, really. 3 games in 3 days, and we should note that these teams also played like a tune-up game before the tournament started. So, really, they're playing 4 or 5 consecutive games. So they were probably tired, and that's not to make excuses for La Salle or even UP, but these guys were probably tired, and we know that in the Philippines, the training is also hardcore, especially with college basketball season coming up. Alarcon didn't play, still recovering from injury. UP, is there a high level of concern? I wouldn't go that far because I feel in the Philippine college basketball way of things, they're still at the top of the top along with La Salle and the UAAP. If I had to nitpick, one, like I said, the rim protection could still use some work. That's not to say they're bad, but it's not great. It's not the elite level it was with Malik and QMB. I think we can say that. It's a good thing that you're seeing Gianni Stevens really improve. He's starting to find that confidence he had towards the end of his first year with UE again, where he's just attacking the paint, using his body, pushing, moving guys around and rebounds. He's gonna get away with more of those in the UAP as well, and he's gonna be such a key factor for the Fighting Maroons. They need that floor general aspect still, though. Who's gonna step up to be the lead playmaker, the I got this guy? And by I got this guy, I don't mean like I'm gonna hit a step back jumper on your face. I'm gonna drive and score. Like I got this. Like okay, magulo yung offense. Hindi maganda yung takbo ng bola. Chill. Let's figure it out. Right now, parang they're still trying to do it by committee, and there's no clear answer yet. I feel like a lot of people expected it would be Remogat, but we have to remember it's been almost 2 years now since we last saw Ray play in the UAP. His playing style is different from JD or other natural point guards. To me, Ray is more like I wouldn't even say baklaan. I think scoring wise, he's like baklaan, but not passing wise. And I think he also kind of scores like Jacob, but he doesn't pass like Jacob. To me, at his best, he's a scoring guard. Eh. Not to say he can't pass the ball. He can pass the ball. Actually, he had a near triple double game in season 86. But at his best, he's a scorer. And I think to really capitalize on what he does best, you need him to play with another pass first guard. But a lot of UP's guards are looking to shoot. So that's Fortea and Abadiano, and that's what they're best at. Abadiano is a mid-range assassin. Fortea's three-point stroke is probably the best in college basketball. But then you also have to factor in, okay, Rayland is also looking to get his shot. Naruko is also looking to highlight himself or emphasize himself in establish himself in the paint. Same for Gianni. And you got guys like Baila, Alter to some degree, Gagate, kind of filling in the margins. So I wonder if we'll see more Felicilda, because I feel like Felicilda is that pass first guard still for the team. But can you get away with long stretches of Felicilda minutes, knowing that he might get attacked on defense because of the size? And sometimes his 3-point shot might be off. So some areas to work on for UP as we get closer to the UAP. For La Salle naman, Mike Phillips, you see the dominance, you see that his body is just developed in a level that is not typical for college basketball in the Philippines. You can see the improvement in the scoring, the post work, the footwork, some of the mid-range jumpers. The free throws still hit or miss. I think the stroke is better, it's a little more consistent, but he needs to work on it some more. Cortez has a nice midi pull-up game where when the offense breaks down, he looks to get his shot. Baclan has also been scoring effectively. For LaSalle, the key here is will you get consistent production from the rest of the supporting cast? Because when we look at the game against Korea University, Makalalag, who is a fourth-year vet, 0 points. Abadam, at this point, about to be a fourth-year vet as well, 5 points. Dungo, 0. Mason with 2. That was a bit disappointing given how well he played on the opening day. Pablo, 6 points. Goliena, 2 points. Noangco, 4. So you kind of know that the three main guys are going to be the two guards and Mike, but they will need more than those three guys if they want to reclaim their championship. It's going to have to be a team effort. You're going to need to see Pablo aggressive in the rebounds. You're going to need to see Mason look to get open if he doesn't get the ball with the first action. And Goliena, Abadam, and Makalalag need to step up in the wings because at their best, they're all humming naturally and the ball is moving around. And if you remember, one of the reasons why UP was able to beat them in the finals last year was they took away that ball movement of LaSalle, made Cake you have to beat them with ISO and one-on-one plays, which were well contested in the paint. So LaSalle also has areas to work on, definitely. I still think these are the two best UAP teams right now. Of course, we haven't seen how much USD has improved in the week since Ako has joined them for more training sessions. They're currently in Korea right now. Ateneo, currently in Japan as well. Osaka, actually. They're going to be participating in the tournament, and they, to me, are the ultimate dark horse. NU, like I said, after the Phil Oil, we know they're good, but at this point, we're just waiting for them to prove to us that they can beat the elite teams. We'll see what's happening with FEU and UE. They're currently in China. I believe FEU just came back from a US trip. Adamson, I think they might be competing in Cebu in a few weeks. We'll find out. They're starting to get up there, in my opinion, because of how well Erolon and Medina have improved at an early age. So I think they can be a Final Four contender. Did I miss anyone? I feel like I did. No, I think I covered everyone there. Anyway, if I miss anyone, let me know in the comments. So, a lot more college basketball action to come. We are close to approaching the midway point of August. And when we do that, means will be a little over a month before the college basketball season starts. And it's exciting. I'm also stoked for the NCAA.